All right, we are live for this 5 p.m. update coming in from the National Hurricane Center. Hello, I'm meteorologist Jeremy Capel, tracking dangerous category 4 Hurricane Laura across portions of the Gulf of Mexico, rapidly moving towards both the Texas and Louisiana coastline, and the storm has strengthened further since our last update from early this afternoon. This was going to be a quick update, so we're not going to take up a lot of your time. Just going to go through the basics of what has occurred, new expectations as we are seeing them. The storm already bringing tropical storm force winds onto the Louisiana coastline. Hurricane warnings are up. Does include Galveston Bay, all the way into central portions of Louisiana. The storm has increased in intensity. In fact, at last check, National Hurricane Center says it has winds now of 145 miles per hour. Let me bring up the 4 p.m. Central update. And this updated just moments ago prior to this video. And currently the storm is located 155 miles south of Lake Charles, 155 miles south-southeast of Port Arthur, Texas. Sustained winds are up to 145 miles per hour, and it is moving to the northwest at 15 miles per hour. Pressure is down to 947 millibars. The forecast track of this storm remains as it heads right towards the Texas and Mississippi, or make that Texas and Louisiana border. It is expected to come ashore as a major hurricane. We believe it will come ashore as a Category 4, where it is now, so similar to the strength that we're seeing now. The Hurricane Center says wind and water levels increasing as extremely dangerous Hurricane Laura takes aim at the northwest Gulf Coast. Catastrophic storm surge is expected, and I think this is going to be the biggest factor with how this shakes out. Those that see a wall of water are going to have nothing left to come back to, and in some cases it could be extreme. While there will be some storm surge flooding New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, the mouth of the Mississippi River, and there will be some out towards Galveston Bay. It's going to be nothing like what you're going to experience in between. Between Vermilion Bay, 8 to 12 foot expected. Sabin Lake, 10 to 15. And look at this area, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right. It's Calcasieu Lake, 15 to 20 feet. That's very close to Lake Charles. So that's absolutely devastating, and that would of course take a lot of lives. That's what we're watching this for, and unfortunately this storm is not showing any signs of weakening. It intensified rapidly last night and earlier this morning, and it's the worst of all timing. You hate to see intensification like this right before landfall, but that's
Lake Charles,
and it's really
the worst of all time.
With that being said, I'm going to take a quick roll call, see who we have on the feed. That's what we're watching. About 25 on YouTube right now. We've got about 140 on Facebook. We are multi-streaming this update. It's not going to be a long-winded one. I'm going to provide about another 5 to 10 minutes of information, and it's really a lot of the worst of all time. So let's see who we have quickly, and we'll move on again with the models. We've got Jessica on here on Facebook, praying for my friends and humble and love liberty and all those affected. Paul, Dries, Garolac, family south of Houston, Texas, and Lake Charles, Louisiana have moved inland to stay with friends. That's a very good call. You want to get away from where this thing is making landfall. This is going to cause a lot of damage. Echo, you say? Well, thank you for that. Let's see if we can get that fixed. Echo, I oftentimes have to... There we go. That should take care of the echo. I have to rely on you guys to let me know when things go awry in that area. Don't have a full-time staff with me, so we just kind of have to play it by ear. Okay, so there's a look at the big picture visible satellite imagery showing you this storm that has turned out to be just classic in structure, classic in nature. Take a look at that extremely well-defined eye. And within this eye, you have these individual eddies where they swirl around within the eye. These are called mesovortices, and they only accompany the strongest of hurricanes and typhoons, which clearly that's what we have with Hurricane Laura. Really, really nasty storm. So we'll watch this. Again, you can see the individual vortices. It's mesmerizing to watch, but it's also devastating to understand the impact that this is going to have once it makes landfall. Let's take a look at some more imagery here. Again, this is the area of most concern when it comes to storm surge flooding. Particularly of interest is from Vermilion Bay to Sabine Lake. Those areas, again, we were talking about those areas just south of Lake Charles. And let me get the name of that lake, and it's I'm going to mess it up. It's Calcasieu. Calcasieu Lake, something like that, and Sabine Lake. All of those are going to be inundated. Holly Beach, Cameron, Creole, could be looking at the center of the storm. And all of Lake Charles and Port Arthur will be very much impacted by this. A look at the H wharf from earlier gives you a pretty good idea of the expectation where it could strengthen a little more before it makes landfall, which of course is not ideal. It does look like it's going to be making landfall here later on tonight. By late this evening, conditions will deteriorate rapidly. And let's see if I can't find an updated, here's the 3K high-res wharf. I'm going to have this up for you in just a moment, showing the, okay, here's the updated wharf as of, this is from this morning, it's 12Z. I'll show it to you anyway though. Okay, take a look at this. So taking the storm from where it's at, let me back it back up. You can see the outer bands are already impacting the area, and then it slows it down. I'm not necessarily buying the timing here, but the placement looks pretty good. Bringing it onshore just to the east of Port Arthur, just south of Lake Charles, which means that the worst of the storm surge flooding would be right here on that eastern flank of the eye wall, or your eastern eye wall. And then eventually it lifts to the north. It's going to create quite a bit of rain after that as well. In fact, flooding rains are expected across much of the eastern, or make that western Louisiana and eastern Texas. Take a look at some of these rainfall projections coming in from the National Hurricane Center, where you've got widespread 6 to 10, and then even 10 to 15 inches of rain. So that's 6 to 10, and then in there 10 to 15 inches of rain. So quite remarkable. And the storm's moving. That's the saving grace with the rain. These totals would be higher if it was a slower mover, but it's a moving. So although widespread flash flooding can be expected, it may not be as devastating as it could be. So the main aspect of the storm will be the killer storm surge, catastrophic storm surge, as it's being called by the National Hurricane Center. And I was going to show you some of that rainfall as it's showing up here from the actual European model. You see pretty healthy rainfall amounts, but again, it will be it'll be secondary to the storm surge that we're expecting with this. Okay, here's a look at the radar, because we looked above the radar with the satellite. Here's a look at the actual radar reflection. This is coming out of Lake Charles, where, as I understand it, the National Weather Service out of Lake Charles has abandoned shop, and they've given up forecasting duties to Brownsville, Texas. So basically, these guys located up here, very close. There's the radar for the National Weather Service. They're out. They got out, which is good. This whole area is under a mandatory evacuation between Galveston and Lake Charles. Mandatory evacuation. They got out. They're giving up their duties to another National Weather Service so we can safely watch the arrival. Now, these are outer bands. They've been prompting tornado warnings for much of the afternoon. I haven't caught wind of anything too strong out of that. And it is common, by the way, to have tornadoes being produced by a landfalling hurricane. The actual core of the storm still well offshore, but again, getting some of that banding beginning to come back in. And you can see that very, very well-defined eye. And what it is going to be, again, this is where the worst of the winds are occurring right now. Offshore, but not for much longer as all this continues to make inroads to the north. Boy, just look at that thing. I mean, it's just spinning. And it's spinning so hard. And this is obviously going to be devastating for those areas that take a direct hit here. All right, it's now 5:20. Just wanted to pop on briefly with an update. Again, the storm has increased in intensity. Barometric pressure down to 947 millibars. Winds are up to 145 mile per hour sustained. If you don't mind, a quick like and share on the YouTube. It's always appreciated. Also, my friends on Facebook, thank you for being here. A crowd of about 180. Hopefully, the video's okay this time around. Caleb Rout, very intense convection around the eye wall. Indeed, my friend, indeed. And it's unfortunate because I don't think it's going to lose much, if any, intensity by the time it makes landfall. It's cruising at a good speed for it to maintain. Sometimes they slow down. They'll interact with the coast. Maybe they advect in drier air. The only thing that I think would be a saving grace for landfall with this storm, because there's plenty of warm water, upper level winds are favorable. I think that the one saving grace would be and could be if we get some sort of an eye, we go in between like a eye wall replacement cycle or something like that. Otherwise, I think we're in real trouble. Here's a look at the winds. These are current winds at the surface, giving you an idea of where this storm is actually located at, with the core of those strong winds located well offshore still. But we're seeing tropical storm force winds beginning to come onshore right now. And this is what's happening here at the surface. Just take a look up. Go up to about 500 millibar. You can see the winds are cranking. Steering winds in the upper levels will lift it north, but it's not enough to weaken it. We've got plenty of high pressure, plenty of subsidence aloft in this storm that's going to allow it to maintain an intensity. So I don't think that's going to be a problem as the storm continues to cruise off to the north and northwest, eventually making a north and northeastward turn in time with, and that will take with it the rain and the wind. The winds will come down quickly once it hits later on tonight. I wanted to look at the latest model imagery to get a better idea of timing. We think around midnight, things will really begin to go downhill for much of the Louisiana coastline. So this evening, things will steadily deteriorate. This is looking at the HRRR. I don't always use it for hurricanes, but in this case, it's the most updated weather model that we have. I just want to see what it's saying and its timing. It does appear to be slowing down a little bit. So instead of like a midnight landfall, it might be more like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So this could be a late night for some folks. And of course, if it does slow down, that would also mean more rainfall as well. So that's the situation. I'm curious if we can get a live camera. Let's see. It's something I did not think to do right before the show. So let's see if we've got any live cameras that we can quickly take a look at. This is Galveston. Is this live? Look. Okay, so this is live. We're going to take you down to Galveston. Take a look at this. See, they got a news crew there as well. better picture for you. And keep in mind, Galveston is on the west side of the storm. It's not going to see the worst of the weather. But certainly what they're looking at is some pretty nasty conditions as they're coming in as we speak. All right, with that being said, a quick look at, ooh, my comments just went away. Come back, come back, come back, comments, come back. All right, let's see here. I'm not seeing all of my Facebook comments. I'm seeing most of them. Okay, yeah, it's category 4, Joanne. It's a strong category 4 at that. So top sustained winds of 145 miles per hour. Is there a chance it could intensify to category 5 status? There is. I don't think it's a high chance, but you can't rule it out. And either way, if it comes inshore as a strong category 4, doesn't make much of a difference. It's pretty widespread and it's pretty utter devastation. And that's what we're seeing. This is going to be devastating. So I know a lot of people kind of have zoned out in recent weeks and months with the news cycle, the endless 24-hour news cycle between COVID, the BLM rallies and protests, and the Back the Blue rallies, and the election cycle, the politics, and they're done with news right now, and I get it. But this is a moment when you want to stop and you want to tune back in. You got to tune in, and you've got to help spread the word. I don't know how many people are going to be in the path of this that may be unaware of the danger. Maybe they heard about a hurricane. Maybe they thought they were going to get hit by Marco 2 days ago. Remember? Tropical Storm Marco, did it officially reach hurricane strength? If it did, it was very quick. It fell right apart. And that was the same general location. Hopefully they've been paying attention, because we've talked about for days there's 2 storms. And the second one was going to be the one to watch, and that's Laura, and here we are. So many hours ahead of the landfall of the storm, but not much time. Again, landfall maybe pushing back, maybe instead of midnight, maybe more like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. But it's coming. This is well removed, and you can see that angry surf there in Galveston Harbor right now, where news crews beginning to get positioned to watch this thing come ashore later on tonight. Galveston should be on the western flank. Hurricane force winds expected, but the worst of the storm surge should be east of Galveston. So I want you guys to know that. All right, we've got Sam, Charlotte, Into Music One, Ken, we've got Rosemary and Jim Perry, and also Oma Louise Wilson on the YouTube. Thank you very much for being here and for tuning in with us tonight. I'm not going to stick with this a whole lot longer. We'll take one last look at radar and some final words from the National Hurricane Center, and we'll bring this one down for a close. Again, there you go. Hurricane spinning. That picture we were just looking at, by the way, was very close to here. So we're well away from the center of that storm. It's looking to make landfall somewhere in this area. So east of Galveston, south of Lake Charles, but Port Arthur, Beaumont, Lake Charles, that whole area, and there's quite a population there. They're going to have major problems by later tonight and in the morning, where in some cases we could be looking at storm surge that goes way up there. There's rainfall. Storm surge will be, in my estimation, the biggest threat. I think that there's the potential for just a complete wipeout. You're talking about what they're advertising. This is the Hurricane Center advertising in some cases 15 to 20 feet. Could you imagine a wall of water 15 to 20 feet high with waves towered on top of that, and also 140 mile per hour sustained winds? Right now 145. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're dealing with. we'll continue to monitor the situation. Again, as we go into this evening, I will be providing another update. I'm debating on whether I want to make that update just a part of our regular 845, or if we blow it out and just do hurricane coverage completely. Either way, we'll have plenty of coverage later on this evening and tonight, as again, very powerful Category 4 Hurricane Laura continues to make its way towards land. That's it. There's a final look at the storm. It's extremely organized. It's got fantastic structure. There's nothing but warm waters between it and where it's going. So again, I want to urge everybody to continue to reach out to friends, family, anyone that they know may be in the path of this very dangerous storm. We'll have another update tonight. Thank you for being here.